do? Okay, tell us if this is nice or completely out of our minds. What if we did a filmmaking ASMR? We brought like equipment, like, and did the sounds they make. Like, let's say a lens that you open the aperture, or you start up your camera, or you you set up your light, or you open a C-stand, stuff like that.
C-stand would be
C-stand would be like
focus.
that would be, and then people can guess what it is.
Yeah,
I will make a competition out of it, and people can win the item.
that would be the weirdest episode. But let's do it.
I think we are that tired.
Yeah.
Today we'd have a lot of creative ideas.
Coffee, mucho importante.
How many did you have already? No.
Let's decaf. I don't drink caffeine anymore. I stopped caffeine.
You do anything for fun?
Yeah, sometimes I look at the sky and no.
Lord have mercy. I'll put this tea away so it doesn't spill anymore. So I don't know what's
welcome back
going
to
on.
the-
I don't know
welcome-
what's going on
Yeah,
today. We're both
I was about to do the intro.
okay. Well, you're not.
Welcome to the That Slate podcast, presented by Phil Schneiter and Romain.
No. Do we actually have a topic to talk about, or is it just us sitting here
Yeah,
eating
I think-
cucumbers?
you're eating cucumbers. I'm drinking Schnitzwasser.
That's great too. Enjoy. But we could talk about light, and actually, for this episode, we'll leave it in the frame so people can see.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, we'll talk about DIY lighting.
What do you mean by DIY lighting?
DIY as in don't
Invest yet.
even. What?
Let's go!
What?
That was good.
Was that just out of your
Not
mind?
planned. Yeah.
Wow.
Whoa.
Even
It's
when
the
your mind
coffee.
is like
It's a coffee.
trash, it's actually functioning. Don't invest yet. That's a fuck.
So
And it
essentially-
matches too.
Yeah, so you want to talk about like the small, because lighting is arguably like the most important thing in filmmaking, aside from maybe having actors and stuff like this.
But it can be taunting, like the whole
Oh yeah,
like equipment there is, the whole ways you can light, the whole styles there are, the ways you can shape it. But I think everybody starts out with like the stuff he has laying around and the stuff he has access to and the funding, the money for it.
And disclaimer-
there is
disclaimer, just so we don't piss anyone off. What we're gonna scratching
Don't play
ticket. What we're gonna say today. Do not replace proper gaffers. This is just something when you start off your filmmaking career, you might want to like use some of the stuff we're going to talk about just to make your life easier and don't spend too much money. Do not invest yet.
that's a good
That's a good one, huh?
You should patent it.
Yeah, I should. Pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways you can exchange expensive equipment, filmmaking lighting equipment,
Yeah.
with household stuff or with stuff that you have laying around or that you have access to easier than
Yeah, for sure.
than something that you would need to buy from a company that does that specifically for film sets.
There's a filmmaking tariff or tax or whatever you call it on like all the filmmaking equipment. No, I feel like.
I don't know about the tax. I mean, it's just these companies build tools that last and that work on a film set, on a professional one.
Mm-hmm.
But, if you're starting out, you might not have the money to
Yeah, for
spend.
sure.
I don't know. I mean, a C-stand costs $250. A light costs between a couple $100 to a couple $1,000 these days with LED. Everything costs. And, a fucking diffusion frame,
It's crazy.
a meter by a meter, it costs, I don't know, a couple $100 too. It just adds up. I think it's a fair price because these things last.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
and in terms of color rendition and
Matthews,
stuff,
Avenger, they do good stuff with their grip stuff, but it just costs a lot of money, and you can't afford it from the beginning. With maybe you don't want to either. And I think there's a lot of options you can do, and yeah, we could talk about what kind of options we used or still use.
Yeah.
For the people that don't see the image, we have a. Hold on. We could take it down a bit. You can tell them what we have.
So if you're not on YouTube, you should go on YouTube. But first and foremost, I think we talked about it on this channel before, on the podcast before. But what we try to do with lighting when we use those kind of stuff is just to shape it, modify it, make it softer, make it harder, and stuff like this. And so basically, there's a lot of things we can put in front of a light to modify its appearance on faces or on whatever, you know. So typically for a podcast like this, we wanted to have a top light, not too hard, not too soft. And for this, what we're just using is baking paper. I think it's parchment paper, it's called. What you use to cook, to bake stuff in your oven.
Put in your oven.
And we just wrap it up.
Well, we have a light tube. Maybe we have to say.
Oh yeah,
that.
we have
There's a light tube.
There's a light tube.
It's not just baking paper and making this.
It's a light tube, but if we remove the paper, can we do it?
We can try.
Oh fuck!
I got it.
You got it? Okay.
So this is. Oh shit! We're losing everything.
If you remove the thing, you can see the shadow on the table right here. I don't know if you can see it from this angle, but it's really harsh and it doesn't look really good, and it's really directional. That means that it comes from the top down. But once you put this on and you leave it hanging a little bit, then it softens the shadow a little bit on the table. But also what it does is it creates a bigger kind of like source that shines towards Phil's face, towards my face, and towards the table, which makes like a more even and more pleasing.
It spreads it more. It goes
more
everywhere instead of just in the direction the light is facing.
And this is, you can buy probably for a couple bucks, like a whole roll.
I mean, everybody knows, baking paper in your local store.
Yeah.
And we both have not a lot of lights, but we both have professional film lights. And we would have other things we could put here that would be more professional, would, be even better. But sometimes it's just easier because we wanted to put a really light light on top of us. That's easy to put there, that we don't have to set up a lot. We could have used, a small point source with a lantern maybe. But then, that thing is this big. And our tube is this deep and this long.
Exactly. And we just use a little bit of tape to tape it up. And it works. And I don't know if you use this. I've used this on set for smaller lights, for even COB lights and stuff. Just tape it up in front of the COB on the Fresnel or something, just to diffuse it a little bit, and it works perfectly. The downside of using this instead, as opposed to a proper diffusion, in my opinion, is you can control the tint.
Of course, yeah.
And you can control the diffusion strength.
But these are the downsides you get from using DIY and spending 20 cents.
This is how much cheaper is it? It's 1,000 times cheaper than any diffusion paper. So,
and also it can be a emergency thing. Maybe you have other equipment, but in an emergency where you have to, and sometimes you have location lights that you have no other option than to do something DIY because there's no diffusion for location lights.
Exactly.
It's just maybe you just tape this on top and it's the easiest. You don't have to set anything up. It just tapes because when you have diffusion, it gets a frame, for example, it's heavier. You can't just tape it.
For sure. And you need a C-stand.
You need to, I don't know, it takes much longer to set up. This one you just throw away if you don't need it anymore. And
for sure. And
I've been using this one for a long time. Actually.
It looks like it, but it still works.
But it still works.
So you have a roll of those in your grip box?
Yes, I do.
That's nice.
And it works perfectly.
Yeah.
And of course, tint is a thing, but these days,
no, I'm just
never
saying,
had a big issue.
I've never had any issues. I was just mentioning
it's
the
a downside,
100%.
Yeah.
But you won't notice, and it won't be of any matter.
What's another thing? Shower curtains come to my mind.
Shower curtains. Let me go.
You have one?
Yeah.
So basically, shower curtains are the bigger version of this. It's the same principle. It's the same idea behind it. It's just a shower curtain is much bigger than these baking papers. And for example, you could tape I'm just speaking to myself at this point, but that's great. You could put it in front of a window. You could put it in front of a bigger source. And obviously this makes it even softer because it's even bigger. Is that a shower curtain?
That's a shower curtain, yeah.
Wow.
So this is I think a $3, 3 Swiss franc shower curtain from IKEA that I got. I don't know the size. It's probably like 2 meters by 2 meters, something like this.
So it's pretty big.
Yeah, super inexpensive. Super inexpensive. If you break it, or if you stain it, or if you, I don't know, tear it, rips, you don't really cry about it. You just buy a new one. And it's been really great. As you said, I've been using this to do book lights on stuff. I just use 2 clamps and 2 light stands, clamp it up. You have a massive source. And instead of costing, I think the 6x6 Matthews goes for like maybe $200. It costs $3.
Yeah. And again, I mean, these diffusion fabrics from professional filmmaking companies, they have their upside because they always have they're neutral, so they don't have like a tint to them. They have a set diffusion amount that you can compare. So let's say it's full diffusion, one stop, and you will always be able to compare. You know exactly it takes out one stop of the light. Mm-hmm. So you can talk about, brightness. Here we have no idea. It's probably a bit less, maybe half a stop, quarter stop. Yeah. You don't know for sure. You don't know, maybe give some color tint with it. But that's the downside for being $3 instead of $200. Yeah. And if you're in an emergency, maybe you even have the other one. But maybe at some point you need something comes up. There's some direct sunlight coming in the window that you didn't think about. You're like, oh shit, we don't have anything else. Let's just throw that up, and it just softens it.
I've been this use case you're talking about. I've been using this a lot for this, just to like block like rays of light coming in on like interviews and stuff, and like you can control like you don't want to use like a flag or something because it would be too harsh of a cut. Just use this, tape it up the window, tape it up on the wall, whatever, and then you have some soft diffusion. And $3, you can't really beat this. And if you talk about fabric and other stuff that are really used in like the filmmaking world, are everything that's like bouncing.
That's white, basically.
That's white.
That's white and bright. Yeah.
White and bright, or beige if you want to have a warmer source. You can just go to like your fabric store, or like your hardware store, and get like a unbleached muslin, or just like white.
Or bleached muslin as
bleached
well.
Muslin, or
will be more white.
Even white fabric.
Organic.
Or just a thick like curtain. This would work as bounce, just white, or like something bright.
So that would be bounce, yeah. Maybe it's important to say. This you shine through, like the baking paper.
And bounce.
But on bounce, it doesn't. It's fabric that doesn't really let a lot of light through. It's more like bright fabric, more dense, that bounces the light. But it does a similar thing. It softens it. It makes the source bigger, and it lets you work with it much easier. Another thing that comes to mind is styrofoam. Yeah. And funny enough, that's something that on professional film sets is used. There's not really, there's other bouncing options. Again, I'm talking to myself. There's other options, but on professional film sets, if you look at behind the scenes on big Hollywood movies, you will see on almost every set, you'll see styroboards like the one that Romain is picking up right now and showing here, that you can get at any local hardware store. Yeah,
this one is pretty beat up, as you can see, but essentially what it is just like.
So maybe you can see it already if we bring it in. If we bring it in here, it just bounces more light in his face. Now we're pretty bright, so it doesn't really, you don't see a lot, but it just bounces light, and it's a big source, super cheap. If you beat it up, it doesn't matter. It's okay.
Just tape
it
up.
Get a new one or tape it up.
You can use it handheld, easy.
Did you tape 2 together?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's bigger.
It's holding pretty well, huh?
Yeah, super soft. And what I just added is
Yeah.
this.
They make these forks. That's a professional. That's an Avenger one. They make these forks that you can put into these starboards. So that's shows you that that's a way people use professionally.
Yeah.
And you can make them as big as you want. Basically, you can get smaller one. You could get half of that or a quarter. You could get double of that.
You can do whatever you want.
Super cheap, and it's just plain white. Bounces light. You can carry it around easily outside. Give it to the lighting assistant, and just he carries it around, bounces where needed. And then you can do black. Same thing. You can tape or paint the backside black. Use it as an egg. Super easy. There's floppies and frames for that professionally, but this one is just a much cheaper option, lighter.
Much lighter, and especially much cheaper. Because I feel like, of course, having like something, as we said numerous times already, it's the professional ones are probably nicer, like the build is nicer, like the color is nicer and stuff, but to just bounce a little bit of light, a lot of light pollution anyway in the room you're in, I think you're good with these, even on professional sets.
Exactly, like we mentioned, there's the most professional sets there are using this, so you'll be fine using this too.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, just I mentioned it before. That's not really DIY, but bouncing light to like a white ceiling is also something. What just comes to my mind because it's super easy and it's an easy way. Like, let's say you wanted to have a top light, and you don't really have the means to hang something on top. Maybe it's not big enough. Of course, like a small light like this, it's easy to hang overhead. But if you have a bigger source and you need more punch, might get harder. But if you have a white ceiling, which most rooms have, or a lot of them have, you could just punch like a powerful light, a hard light, whatever it is, into the ceiling, and it does the same thing again. It makes the source bigger, makes it softer, and come from the top. I've seen a lot of people use spotlight attachments, kind of, what I mean? Like from Aperture or Non-Lux, they have attachments that makes it really hard, like a spotlight, and then adjust it to the size they want to make it softer or harder. Yeah. And that's a really smart idea. You could, let's say you have a RE Sky panel or like a Nova panel. That's these squared LED panels. And you put it on top to make it soft, to give you a top light. You could get almost the same outcome by creating a square with such a spotlight mount on top on the ceiling. Yeah. And you get almost the same quality of light. Yeah, because it is the same light. It's a light source from the top.
You can fake windows as well if you want to have something, the size of a window. You want it to spill on the ceiling and stuff. You can just blast it on the white wall. It will fake a window and stuff. Yeah, I feel like now there's no real excuses not to have like better looking lighting, especially because like as we said, like LED lights have decreased in price. You can get small tubes, small from COB lights. Pretty affordable, and also all the modifier to modify the light you can get stuff for cheap. And as a rule of thumb, because we've mentioned it, I don't know if we explained it really, you can either bounce or diffuse the light to make it softer, and generally the bigger the source, the softer the light as well. That's why we're using a big shower curtain like this to light a person instead of just like a small baking paper, just because the light is just diffused a little bit more and like is bigger. And that's what we're trying to do with top lights as well. As you said, spotlight mount and stuff. You can choose the size of the light. And yeah, I just think like now there's so many options. You just have to be a little bit creative, see what like professional brands are making, just try to mimic them as much as possible in terms of fabric or I don't know.
Yeah,
stuff to
try out. Just try out what works best for you and what you like best. Do you have any other DIY lighting stuff that comes to your mind?
DIY lighting stuff. You talked about lanterns. It's not really DIY, but lanterns. Aperture says lanterns. You have the Bowen's mine. You clip on it's beautiful. But you could also go to IKEA and get a China lamp. a small it's a lantern,
Like
basically.
a China bowl.
China bowl, yeah. Lantern. You can just like try to find a way to rig it to your light, either tape or clamp or something, and then you'll get essentially the same results as the more expensive.
Even put a bulb in it. You could put a bulb in it.
Unless you need more power.
Yeah. But I know, depending on how much you need.
Yeah.
Like something like we're doing here, a China ball and a good light bulb that has some punch.
That would work.
That would work
For sure.
Or maybe you have a small of these like these on-camera lights.
Yeah.
That Aladdin makes some of them. Aperture, I'm sure. Yeah.
You win the one for like more videographers, like
like they're about this size.
Oh yeah, like the MCs and stuff.
Yeah, like an MC or anything. You could like battery powered, super light. You just put it in there, and that would give about the same quality of light as we have.
Yeah, maybe pretty the same output as well. But that'd be like, we're saying all this to say that I don't think filmmaking has ever been as affordable and accessible as it now to make beautiful images. And
there's some really nice options, and you can always upgrade if you're noticing the shower curtain is not really doing his thing. I need the professional way. You can always get that.
Always.
But to learn and try out and figure out, it's a great option. And also, like we said, for emergencies, when you just don't have enough, because none of us can just afford endless professional equipment.
Yeah.
We might get a kit for the usual stuff.
Yeah.
But there'll be days where you just see that window, or you didn't think you're going to take that long until the sun reaches that one window, which you don't have diffusion for, which you didn't plan. Throw that on top. Use this. Have it in a box, super light.
Good to go.
And be ready.
I've actually used this very specific shower
curtain. It feels
curtain.
more like fabric instead of shower curtain.
Yeah, it's crazy, huh?
It's almost like a real curtain.
I've used this on like fairly big jobs.
Yeah.
Especially for interviews and stuff, because like you can do it it's really light. You can use, as I said, 2 light stands, and
no frame, just throw it on top.
Pretty lazy. No one has ever said anything about it.
Yeah.
Just because like
they probably talked about behind your back, but
this guy just showed up with the IKEA curtain.
The fuck? What am I paying him for?
Jesus Christ.
I haven't used mine in a while, actually. I don't know why, but I love them.
Yeah, they're nice.
Anything else that comes to your mind?
No, because I think we covered like diffusion bounce. You mentioned neg a little bit, but it would be the same thing. You could like buy like a black curtain, and then you have a
black
neg
fabric.
Neg for day. Like the thicker the better, I think, for neg, just so it like really blacks out. And
I've used shirts.
Yeah.
I've been on or sweaters. I've been on shoots where we needed to bounce, and we didn't have like white anything. We didn't have foam. We didn't have this stuff. We used somebody's shirt or jacket or a sweater. I don't remember what it was, and just taped it to something hard, like a board, and just held it in. Like it was for close-ups, of course. It wouldn't be big enough for anything else, but we just brought a white shirt. Of course, that's risky because white is not equal white, especially with clothes and stuff. But
if it's an environment where
it was outside, I think, and it was enough. And
talking about white T-shirts, have this thing I heard. I don't remember the name of the movie. It's zombies in Las Vegas, and they closed up everything, and the whole movie is shot on like the dream lens.
Yeah, I know.
0.95. Yeah.
I don't know the
Zack Snyder shot it.
Okay.
And
I don't know the name.
Everything is like shot wide open and stuff. And
Zombieland, maybe no.
Huh?
And never mind.
I don't remember, but like the zombie movie in Las Vegas with like Dave Bautista and stuff
on Netflix, yeah.
On Netflix, and there's a whole scene where they're in like a tunnel, and it's like shoulder cam, and like the character is basically like walking around with a flashlight, trying to like see zombies and stuff, and like the camera up is backing out. And I saw the behind the scenes, and they were like the cam up had a white T-shirt.
Walking in front
of the character, and the character would like when the character would flash the white T-shirt, it would bounce back, and it would give like nice levels on your face.
The character,
exactly. No other lights.
Wow.
Just like the flashlight, and when it hit, it would light him up. And I think that goes to show that even in like Hollywood productions, you still do like some of that. I don't want to say necessarily DIY, but like
It is DIY, 100%.
I mean, it makes sense. Like
Because it's what realistically what would happen if you were there.
Yeah,
That's,
exactly.
if you hit something white, it will punch in your
Exactly.
face. That's what happens. And to make it realistic, you have to make what happens in your reality.
Exactly. And I think like this approach is, it's very nice to like go into, because you realize that lighting is more than just like having an octabox and a softbox. It's like basically how light reacts to whatever is around you. And that's
Especially
what's
if you're
fascinating.
trying to make something look real.
Look real. And so it's not always having like all you see those YouTubers having an octabox 45-degree angle, do the Rembrandt light. Okay, it looks nice for interviews and shit, but like if you do commercials, that more realistic stuff, light bounces everywhere, and like sometimes it bounces on like some red and some
Also bounces from this table right
this
now.
table, it's
which
like
gives it
warmer.
even more warm
So
tone. Yeah.
don't stress out too much about the quality, like the colors and stuff, because the only thing it would do, it makes it more realistic, I would say, than just like a pure ultra bounce or like.
And just try it out.
Yeah.
Compare it, try it out. If it works, it works.
Fuck yeah.
Isn't it funny how it really helps to see behind the scenes of these big productions and see them use these things, and kind of it gives you this security, like it's okay, everybody does it.
Yeah.
Like if they do it, it's definitely okay if you do it.
There's this quote.
But if you didn't know this, maybe,
you would
then
stress
be
out.
like, is this okay? Fuck, am I doing something wrong?
Because there's always people saying, oh no, you only need to use, especially like people like, I'm not sure they're shooting them that much, but they're really technical about their stuff. They're, you should always only use like this brand or this brand because it gives the best CRI or whatever. Sure. Like at the end of the day, like I have this quote.
On paper, it's true. Yeah, but
I have this quote that kind of live by. It's, if it looks good, it's good, and it doesn't matter how you got there. If it looks good,
100%,
it's good.
100%.
Like,
and I try to say like people don't care. It's the same with, it kind of off topic, but it's the same with continuity. Always on set, people that don't have too much experience, they're saying, "Oh, but that doesn't make sense."
I've noticed this as well.
He was standing there before, and you're like a scene after that, which might be, I don't know, 30 seconds, 10 seconds later.
Yeah,
that doesn't sound like a lot, but you've seen 3 different images in between. Nobody gives a beep where the frick this person was standing, or if he was looking left or right.
Yeah, exactly.
It really doesn't matter.
No,
as long as your story is there and people are following that story and are caring about. If they're start looking at where people stand, then you did something wrong with your film, because they should not be thinking about where the frick somebody was standing.
For sure. That, like, on the same note, like, and it kind of ruined movies for me. As soon as I started to like pay attention to lighting and like know how lighting works and stuff, you notice like all that in the same scene, even if it's like a 1, 2, whatever, the lighting changes all the time, but it doesn't affect the viewing experience, because you're like into the story and like you don't care about the lighting. But when you pay attention, you can start to see, he was lit there, he's not lit now. Now it
was soft before, now it's hard.
Yeah, they shot this at sunset because probably they ran out of time. But the other thing is shot mid-afternoon, and like it's crazy.
But I honestly, even now that I know and that I look at stuff like that, even then it doesn't really like get in my face. I really have to look for it. I really have to search it.
Yeah.
Even now that I'm really sensitive to stuff like that, if I don't look for it actively, no chance.
And you never look for it? Because I think like
I do look for it sometimes, but
I always
on a regular basis, I look for lighting, but I don't go like I look at this shot and then this. Oh, it's harder, it's softer.
Yeah.
I already know that the close up is going to be softer than the wide.
Always.
But that's not even, you know. Yeah, I think even for me being sensitive to it, even I don't even notice. So I know somebody that doesn't give a crap at all.
Yeah,
they're not gonna see it.
You're good.
So use it.
Go to IKEA
as much as you can.
Go to IKEA and knock yourself out. All right, now.
Yeah,
we're good.
We're good.
We messed it up for the next one.
Probably.
That's all right.
Next one's gonna be dark.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.